Welcome again to Ancient Tales for Today. We've been looking at a very old book, very old story. We've been talking about a man who in his younger years lived a very privileged life. And then he had to run away because he killed a man. Okay, now he has just spent another 40 years of his life, and he meets a bush. He sees a bush that doesn't burn up, and the bush knows his name. The bush speaks his language and says, "Moses, Moses, take your shoes off. You're standing on holy ground." Now we see what the voice wanted to say. Welcome to number 45, A Reluctant Hero.
Number 45, A Reluctant Hero. Last time we left Moses by a burning bush that spoke. This is what the voice from heaven told him. "You are to go back to Egypt and free my people. They are being treated cruelly. So you shall lead my people out from there and take them to the land I will give them." Egypt is the last place that Moses wants to go to. Remember, he is a wanted man there because he murdered an Egyptian. So he starts to argue, Why me? I'm not the one who should go and speak to the king of Egypt. I couldn't lead the people out." "I will go with you," the voice tells him. "But what should I tell the people? Who shall I say you are?" Moses argues some more. "Tell them the I Am sent you, the God of your ancestors." "Well, what if they don't listen to me?" Moses worries. He's told to throw his shepherd's rod onto the ground. It turns into a snake. When he picks up the snake, it turns back into his rod. He can do this as a sign to prove himself to the people. But Moses is still worried and raises more objections. "Not me, Lord. Please send someone else." Finally, he says he's not good with words. The voice tells him that Moses' brother, Aaron, can help him. End of argument. So Moses announces he's going back to Egypt. He accepts the assignment, but he's really a very reluctant hero. Moses eventually goes only because God says he will go with him and that those who wanted him killed are already dead. How do you respond to things you don't want to do? Do you make excuses? Do you put off making a decision? What would you have done if you were Moses? He's just like us, isn't he?
Well, the last time that we were together in our last lesson, we left Moses by a burning bush that spoke. 会燃烧的一个禁忌或灌木. It's a little tree, it's a bush. Okay? And the bush could speak. Now that's not very normal. In fact, that's unusual, 不寻常的. This is what the voice from heaven told him. Now remember, this is 这个天庭来的声音呢. This is not, I don't know, it's not normal. This is God speaking to Moses. Going on, no, let's not go on quite yet. You are to go back to Egypt and free my people. Okay? go back to Egypt, 回到埃及 and free my people. 释放我的子民，我的民族。Okay? You are to go back to Egypt. Now remember, he was born in Egypt, and he ran away. 从埃及就逃跑。He said, my people are being treated cruelly. Whoa, I imagine for any Chinese, cruelly is a hard word to pronounce. Let's try it. You say it after me. Cruelly. Whoa. In our Chinese area, we don't like to say L sounding words. It sounds more like R, okay? So, you are to go back to Egypt and free my people. They are being treated cruelly. Okay? 他们 cruelly is 受苦的待 or treated is 对待。就是说这个埃及人怎么样呢？对待这个希伯来人很受苦的，非常非常不好。So, you shall lead my people from there and take them to the land that I will give them. You will lead my people, 你要领导 okay, 带领 my people out from there, 从那边出来，带他们 to the land that I will give them. 我要赐给他们的地。Imagine that when Moses heard that, he's like, oh, really? You know, if it was me, I'd just say, really, gentlemen? Egypt was the last place that Moses wants to go. Now, this is interesting. The last place that he wants to go. Last, 最后 place, 地方，最后一个地方。No. This is an idiom. 这个是我们的常说。And when I say this is the last thing I want to do, 我最不想做的，不喜欢做的。Egypt is the last place he wants to go. 最不喜欢去的一个地方。Remember, 你要记得 he is a wanted man. I'm not quite sure how to say this. A wanted man is somebody that they want to kill or to put into prison. Okay? 通缉犯. Why? Because he murdered an Egyptian. He murdered an Egyptian. So that's the reason why he didn't want to go back. Go ahead. So he starts to argue. 他就开始辩论. Now remember, he's talking to a bush, but really he's talking to God, right? 他是跟天庭一起说话. Why me? I'm not the one who should go and speak to the king of Egypt. 为什么我呢? I am not the one to go and speak to the king of Egypt. I couldn't lead the people out. 我没办法把他们带出来. And then the voice says, which means God says, I will go with you. So the voice said, I will go with you. But Moses isn't finished. He says, but what should I tell the people? What should I tell the people? Who shall I say you are? 我应该跟我的民族我应该说到底你是谁? Who shall I tell the people you are? Moses continues to argue. 他继续辩论. Okay? So actually, if you look at the story in the ancient tales, you'll find that he has 5 excuses. 他有5个借口. In this story, we don't share all of them. And so it says, tell them I am sent you, the God of your ancestors. Now that's a strange name. Tell them, 告诉他们, I am sent you. The word I am is very special in the 希伯来语. That the word I am is 拥有的意思. That means that he has existed from forever. 他没有开始，他也没有结束. And it was a name that they used for God. So, tell them, I am sent you. And I am the God of your ancestors. 我是你的祖先的神啊. Whoa. What would you think? What if they don't listen to me? What if they don't listen to me? Moses worries. 为什么他们不会听我的? Now stay by, because we're going to look for light on our path. And now for some light on our path. Lena, why don't we turn to the New Testament, to 2 Corinthians 12:9.
好，哥林多后书的12章第9节。
Okay, this is the Apostle Paul speaking. Now, here's what it says. And he said to me, God speaking to him, my grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. And then the Apostle Paul continues and he says, therefore most gladly I would rather boast in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me.
圣经说，他对我说，我的恩典够你用的，因为我的能力是在人的软弱上显得完全，所以我更喜欢夸自己的软弱，好叫基督的能力复庇我。
Okay, so here's a question I'll let you try to start with.
艾老师，我看到这个恩典够你用的，我很感动。我就想到上帝选择人的时候会选择一些软弱的人。像摩西，他觉得我根本不可能回去埃及把我的子民带出来，我在旷野40年了，我什么都不会。上帝为什么要选择他呢？
Well, the Bible text we just read says that God makes up for 这弥补他的软弱点。Okay, he makes up for the weaknesses. In fact, when God chooses weak people, 他选软弱的人, that means that they must depend upon God.
哦，是这样子的。而且还有这个句圣经里面说的很好，要在你的软弱上显出我的刚强。
Yes. So who looks good? God looks
对
good.
对，
Yes. So that's all the time we have for Light on Our Path. So Moses worries. 万一他们不听我的话呢？不愿意相信我呢？他很担心呢。He's told to throw his shepherd's rod. Now, of course, a shepherd, a 牧羊人, he has a 杖. It's a stick. It's quite big, a shepherd's rod. And so 他被说了，这个上帝就跟他说 Throw your rod down on the ground. And the rod became a snake. Woo! Now what is happening? Moses is starting to believe the voice. 从这个禁忌，这个the burning bush. He says, wow, this is impressive. When he picks up the snake, and this is a poisonous snake, 是毒蛇, okay, 有毒的. And he picks up, I imagine, says, whoa, I don't want to touch that one. He picks up the snake, and it becomes a rod again. 又变成杖. Whoa. He can do this as a sign. 他可以做这个，做一个记号。Why? To prove himself to the people. 证明证明 what? Prove himself. To prove that he is, well, 可靠. Because in those days, people liked to believe in strange things, magic, superstition, and they were very simple people. So a rod becomes a snake. Wow. This is not normal. Definitely not normal. And it would 证明他是真的，是神叫他去。Go ahead. But Moses is still worried. 他还是担心呢。And he raises more objections. 反对的提案。Okay, we would say excuses, 借口。Not me, Lord. Not me. 不是我，我不会。Please send somebody else. Have you ever said that? Oh, I don't want to do that. Have somebody else do it. Well, in this ancient story, Moses says, hey, not me. You need to have somebody else. 最后, finally, he says he's not good with words. And that probably was a little bit true. 他就说他不大会说话. Now remember, he was born in Egypt. He grew up in Egypt. So he spent 40 years in Egypt. Okay, so does he speak Egyptian? Yes. He can speak the language very fluently. But he ran away. And for 40 years, he has lived in the desert, in a foreign country, and he is not speaking. So maybe he was telling the truth. 不大会说话。But the voice tells him that Moses' brother, who he has not seen for 40 years, 已经40年没有看到他的哥哥呢。He said, Moses' brother can help you. End of argument. 不能再辩论。God has answered all of his objections and excuses. So Moses announces he's going back to Egypt. So he tells the people that he's living with that he's going back to Egypt. He accepts the assignment. 他接受上帝的安排 okay? But he's a very reluctant hero. 不情愿的这个英雄，不大愿意的一个英雄。A reluctant hero. If I am reluctant, I am not very willing to do something. Okay? So he will become a hero. He will become a leader. Probably the most famous person in the history of this people. But he's a reluctant hero. Moses eventually goes, that means goes back to Egypt, only because God says that he will go with him. 就是因为上帝说我会与你同在, so he is willing to go back. I think that would be a pretty good reason. And that those who wanted him killed are already dead. Those who wanted to kill him are already dead. Well, remember, it's been 40 years. I mean, 40 years, those people are no longer around. Go ahead. How do you respond to things you don't want to do? 人家要你做一些事情，你不想做，那你的反应是怎么样？ Do you make excuses? 你会不会发一些借口？ Moses did, 5 of them actually. Do you put off making the decision? 你会不会 put off 就是延下去，我不做决定。Do you put off making the decision? What would you have done if you were Moses? If you were Moses, what would you have done? Obviously, he is a lot like us, isn't he? And we're a lot like him. Stay by now for some words that you need to know. Now, for words you need to know. Well, let's begin with something like objections. Objections.
是说
这个
反对的，是不是？
Yes, 反对的。
反对的这个理由啊，或者是反对的人，是不是？
Yeah. Objections. And Moses had many of those. Okay, and then maybe I should have had the first one was to free my people.
这个是说释放我的子民。
Oh.
意思其实就是说让我的人得自由，是不是？
Right. And so we use to free, well, we say freedom.
Freedom, 自由。
Yeah, 自由, to free my people, to 释放他们。Okay, another one. And I don't know how to say this in Chinese, so you have to tell me how to do it in Chinese. Reluctant hero.
这里是说不情愿的英雄。很多时候做英雄是我要做，可是这里说的我不愿意做英雄。
Right. Actually, Moses had 5 excuses or objections. We just saw.
对。
These excuses, God patiently responds to them
对
one by one. Okay? So he is a reluctant hero. Can you say that?
reluctant hero.
Very good. Very good. Okay, now here's a simple one to respond.
是回应。
回应. So I respond to your words or 回应. Sometimes we say 回答 if
回答
you're speaking. If you're speaking. So I guess that's about all the time we have, Lena, for words you need to know. Okay, we've just looked at number 45, a reluctant hero. 那是不大愿意的、不情愿的一个英雄。So now he has agreed, finally, after all the excuses. He's just like us, isn't he? A lot of excuses. But God, the voice from the burning bush, said, I will go with you. Okay, now he goes back to Egypt. And so now it becomes very exciting because what is going to happen in Egypt? Please come back for the next lesson as we talk about challenging the king. See you then.
That's all for today, and thanks for watching. If you like Ancient Tales for Today, please visit atft.chinesehope.tv. You may also contact us by writing to ancienttalesfortoday@gmail.com. Again, that's ancienttalesfortoday@gmail.com. Tell your friends about Ancient Tales for Today. See you next time.